A human just turned a rock into a knife in 90 seconds. And that simple act destroyed a 1,000-year-old alien empire. This isn't science fiction. This is humanity's greatest strength. And it terrified the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. The Zelkor Empire watched from orbit. They expected the human to panic, to beg, to fail. Every species before had failed within hours. But the truth behind what happened next will shock you. Because this wasn't about survival. It was about proving that humans don't just survive. We dominate. Here's what's coming. First, you'll discover why the aliens chose Earth for their twisted game. The reason will make your blood boil. Second, I'll reveal the exact moment the Empire realized they'd made a catastrophic mistake. Their own records captured it. Third, you'll learn the one human trait that no alien species possesses. It's so simple you use it every single day. The Zelkor Empire had conquered 47 star systems. They'd tested 200 species. Their survival game had a 100% fatality rate. Until Jake Morrison, a 32-year-old construction worker from Ohio, was abducted on a Tuesday night. He woke up on a barren moon. No tools, no food, no hope. The aliens gave him one message: survive 30 days or die. They'd done this before. No one ever made it past day 3. Jake looked down. He saw rocks. He picked one up. 90 seconds later, he had a blade. The Empire's High Council went silent. Their scientists couldn't process what they'd witnessed. Because in their world, tools required factories. Technology required centuries. But humans? We've been making knives from rocks for 2 million years. Let me show you exactly how this happened. And why it changed everything. The Zelkor Empire didn't invade worlds. They tested them. For 1,000 years, they'd used the proving grounds. It was their way of measuring a species' worth. Take one specimen. Drop them on Moon 7. Watch what happens. If they survive 30 days, their planet earns protection. If they fail, their world gets marked for harvest. The rules were brutal but simple. You get nothing. No food. No water. No equipment. Just you, the barren landscape, and the clock. The moon had breathable air and some water sources. Everything else? You had to figure it out. Most species died within hours. They wandered aimlessly. They tried eating poisonous plants. They gave up. The Zelkor recorded every death. They studied the footage. They believed suffering revealed truth. Here's the first surprise. The Empire actually thought they were being fair. In their culture, technology was everything. They measured intelligence by how fast a species could build computers, develop space travel, create artificial intelligence. Primitive skills meant nothing. That's why they chose Jake Morrison. The Zelkor scanned Earth's population. They specifically avoided scientists, soldiers, or survival experts. They wanted an average human, someone unremarkable, someone who represented our true level. Jake worked construction. He built houses in Cleveland. He liked football and pizza. He'd never been camping. Never started a fire without matches. Never hunted anything. By Zelkor standards, he was perfect. A guaranteed failure. But here's surprise number 2. The Empire didn't know human history. They saw our cities and assumed we were like them. Born into technology. Dependent on machines. They missed the fact that humans spent 95% of our existence as hunter-gatherers. Those instincts don't disappear. They're buried in our DNA. Every human carries 2 million years of survival knowledge. We just don't know it until we need it. Jake's abduction happened at 11:47 p.m. on March 15th. He was walking to his truck after a late shift. Blue light, paralysis, then nothing. He woke up on Moon 7 16 hours later. The Zelkor watched from their orbiting ship. Cameras covered every angle. This was their entertainment, their science, their religion. Now here's where things get really interesting. Jake's first thought wasn't panic. It was anger. He stood up. His head pounded. The air tasted metallic. Gray rocks stretched in every direction. No plants. No animals. No obvious water. Just endless wasteland under a purple sky. Then he heard the voice. Came from everywhere at once. The The Zelkor spoke in perfect English. You have 30 days. Survive and your species lives. Fail and your world dies. Your trial begins now. Here's what happened next. Jake did something the aliens never predicted. He laughed. Not nervous laughter. Real, genuine amusement. Because Jake suddenly understood something profound. These aliens thought they were testing him. But they'd actually just given him the biggest advantage possible. They'd removed all the complexity of modern life. No bills. No boss. No traffic. Just the most basic challenge that exists. Stay alive. And humans? We're the best in the universe at that. Jake looked down. Rocks everywhere. Different sizes. Different colors. Different shapes. He picked up a piece of flint. It had sharp edges. He could feel its potential. This is the moment everything changed. Jake sat down. He grabbed another rock. A harder one. He struck them together. The flint chipped. He struck again. And again. His hands remembered motions his ancestors had perfected over millions of years. 90 seconds later, he held a blade. Rough but functional. Sharp enough to cut. Heavy enough to chop. The perfect multi-tool. The Zelkor council chamber erupted in chaos. Their lead scientist, Vorn, couldn't speak. Their military commander, Thex, demanded a replay. Their high priestess, Scylla, declared it impossible. Because in Zelkor society, creating a blade required mining operations, smelting facilities, quality control, months of work. They'd watched 200 species fail to create even basic tools. Most didn't even try. But Jake had just turned garbage into equipment in less time than it takes to make coffee. Here's the part that matters to you. This ability isn't special. You have it too. Every human does. We're pattern recognition machines. We see potential where others see obstacles. We manipulate our environment instinctively. Think about your daily life. You use objects in ways they weren't designed for. A shoe becomes a hammer. A credit card becomes a screwdriver. A paperclip becomes a lockpick. You improvise constantly. You don't even notice you're doing it. The Zelkor couldn't improvise. They needed instruction manuals, training programs, approved procedures. Their intelligence was vast but rigid. They could build starships but couldn't imagine using a rock as a tool. Jake stood up. He tested his blade on smaller rocks. It worked. He smiled. Then he said something that the Zelkor would analyze for years. He looked up at the sky and said, "Thanks for the vacation. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this." Day 1 became day 5. Jake didn't just survive. He thrived. He found water on day 2. Not by technology. By observation. He watched where morning frost formed. He followed condensation patterns. He dug where the ground looked different. 3 feet down, water seeped into his hole. The Zelkor couldn't understand it. Their scanners showed the water table. But Jake had no scanner. He just knew. Because humans evolved to find water. We had to. Our ancestors who couldn't find water died. Their genes disappeared. Jake carried the genes of winners. Day 3 brought shelter. Jake didn't build a house. He found a cave. But here's the twist. The Zelkor had specifically chosen a moon with no obvious caves. They'd scanned the surface. All clear. Jake found one anyway. Because he didn't look for caves. He looked for cracks. Shadows. Places where rock met rock differently. He squeezed through a gap the Zelkor sensors had dismissed as too small. Inside, the space opened up. Dry. Protected. Perfect. Commander Thex reviewed the scans again. The opening measured 14 inches. Too narrow for the average Zelkor. But humans are flexible. We're persistence hunters. We chase prey until it collapses. We squeeze through spaces. We adapt our bodies to the environment. Day 5 brought fire. This should have been impossible. The moon had no wood. No vegetation. No obvious fuel. The Zelkor waited for Jake to fail this crucial test. He didn't. Jake found lichen growing on north-facing rocks. Tiny patches. Barely visible. He scraped it off carefully. He found dried algae near the water source. He gathered it for hours. Then he used his flint blade and a rock with iron content to create sparks. The tinder caught. The fire lasted 3 minutes. But 3 minutes was enough. Jake had proved fire was possible. He could repeat the process. He now had heat, light, the ability to purify water. All from materials the Zelkor had dismissed as useless. Here's what the aliens missed. Humans don't just use tools. We see everything as a potential tool. A rock isn't just a rock. It's a hammer, a blade, a spark maker, a weight, a marker, a weapon, a building material. We see multiple uses simultaneously. The Zelkor had specialists. One scientist understood chemistry. Another understood geology. They never talked. Their knowledge stayed separate. But Jake's brain connected everything automatically. Chemistry plus geology equals fire. It's how human brains work. Vorn, the lead scientist, filed a report. It said, "The human appears to possess instinctive knowledge of material properties and environmental systems. This contradicts our intelligence assessments. Request permission to extend observation period." Permission granted. The Zelkor wanted to see what else Jake could do. They were scientists after all. This was unprecedented data. But they made one critical error. They assumed they were still in control. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. Day 14. Jake wasn't surviving anymore. He was building. The Zelkor watched in horror as Jake created a compound. He'd stacked rocks into walls, used mud as mortar, built a rainwater collection system from hollowed stones. He had 3 separate fire pits, a food storage area, a workshop space. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what he did with the knife. Jake had upgraded it. He'd wrapped the handle in dried algae fiber. He'd sharpened the blade using progressively finer rocks. He'd created a sheath from woven plant material he'd found in a hidden valley. The knife was now a masterpiece. Then he made another one, and another. By day 14, Jake had 7 different blades, each designed for specific tasks: cutting, chopping, scraping, carving. He'd invented a complete toolkit from nothing. The Zelkor Council met in emergency session. High Priestess Scylla spoke first. "This human is using techniques that require thousands of years to develop. Our archaeological records show tool evolution is slow, gradual. This is impossible." Vorn pulled up human history files. His voice shook. "We made an error. Humans have been making stone tools for 3.3 million years. Not thousands. Millions. Their entire evolution was shaped by tool use. Their hands. Their brains. Everything optimized for this exact scenario." Commander Thex stood. "How many humans exist on Earth?" 8 billion. "And how many could do what Jake Morrison is doing?" Vorn checked the data. His face went pale. "All of them. Given time and necessity, any human could accomplish this. It's in their base programming." The room went silent. The implications crashed over them like a wave. The Zelkor had 8 billion soldiers. But Earth had 8 billion survivors. Every single human was a potential Jake Morrison. A creature that could turn nothing into something. That could adapt to any environment. That could learn, build, and overcome. Here's the truth that destroyed an empire. The Zelkor thought humans were weak because we needed tools. But that's backwards. We're strong because we make tools. We don't accept our limitations. We change the rules. Jake proved it on day 15. He caught an animal, a small creature that lived in the rocks. The Zelkor had specifically introduced it. They wanted to see if Jake could hunt. He did, but he didn't just catch it. He studied it, learned its patterns, built a trap, caught 3 more. Then he did something that made the Zelkor evacuate Moon 7. He looked directly at their hidden camera. He held up his blade, and he said, "I know you're watching. I know this is a test, and I'm done playing your game. Either let me go home, or come down here. I'll be ready either way. So what does all this mean for us today?" The Zelkor Empire faced an impossible choice. Pass Jake and admit Earth was untouchable. Fail him and face war with 8 billion toolmakers. They chose option 3. They changed the rules. High Priestess Scylla authorized direct contact. She appeared as a hologram on day 16. She told Jake the truth. The proving grounds weren't just tests. They were warnings. Species that passed earned Zelkor protection. Species that failed got marked for other empires to conquer. But Jake had done something unprecedented. He hadn't just passed. He'd thrived. He'd turned their death trap into a home. The Zelkor couldn't let other empires see this. It would expose their weakness. Here's what this means for you. For all of us. The story isn't about Jake being special. It's about humans being unstoppable. We're not the strongest species. Not the smartest by pure computing power. Not the fastest or toughest. But we're the most adaptable. We survive anywhere. Antarctica, deserts, mountains, jungles, space stations. We've conquered every environment Earth offers. And now we know we can conquer alien ones too. The Zelkor made Jake an offer. Return to Earth. Tell no one. His planet would receive protected status. The Empire would leave humanity alone forever. All he had to do was keep quiet. Jake refused. He said, "Everyone needs to know what we're capable of. Humans give up too easily. We forget what we are, what we've survived, what we can do. This is your wake-up call. You're not weak because you use technology. You're strong because you create it. Every tool you use exists because a human imagined it, built it, improved it. Your ancestors survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and disasters. You carry that strength. The modern world makes us soft, comfortable. We forget we're survivors. We think we need permission to be capable. We don't. Jake proved it. Dropped on an alien moon with nothing, he built a life in 2 weeks. You face challenges every day. Problems that seem impossible. Resources that seem insufficient. But you have the same brain Jake has. The same instincts. The same ability to look at nothing and see potential. The Zelkor learned this lesson the hard way. They thought technology made them superior. But when their systems fail, they're helpless. When humans lose technology, we invent it again. From scratch. Using rocks if necessary. Commander Thex wrote in his final report, "We do not recommend hostile action against Earth. The humans are not an advanced species. They are an eternal one. They will survive our empire. They will survive whatever comes next. Mark their system as forbidden. Let them grow in peace. Or one day, they will grow into our space." Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. Jake came home on day 17. The Zelkor teleported him back to Cleveland. Same spot they took him from. Same time of night. Like nothing happened. But something did happen. Jake carried proof. His stone knife. The Zelkor let him keep it. Maybe as a reminder. Maybe as a warning to themselves. He tried telling people. News stations called him crazy. Scientists demanded evidence he couldn't provide. The government denied everything. Jake became another conspiracy theory. Another story people dismissed. But here's the final twist. Jake wasn't the only one. The Zelkor had tested humans before. 3 times in the last century. 1947. 1987. 2003. Every human had passed. Every human had built tools. Every human had survived. The Empire kept it quiet. They couldn't let the galaxy know. Their entire reputation was built on the proving grounds. On being the ultimate test of species potential. If word got out that humans passed easily, their empire would crumble. So they buried it. Classified Jake and the others. Marked Earth as protected but dangerous. Added a note to their star charts. Do not engage. Species shows unlimited adaptive potential. Probability of defeat. High. Jake lives in Cleveland today. Still builds houses. Still likes football and pizza. But he keeps that stone knife on his desk. He looks at it when life gets hard. When problems seem impossible. When he forgets what he's capable of. Because that knife represents a simple truth. Humans don't need perfect conditions. We don't need ideal resources. We don't need luck. We need a problem and time to solve it. That's it. That's the formula. The Zelkor Empire still exists. They still run the proving grounds. But they never test humans anymore. They learned their lesson. You don't test apex survivors. You leave them alone and hope they stay peaceful. But we're not staying quiet anymore. Jake's story leaked. Not officially. Not dramatically. Just slowly. Person to person. Story to story. Until it reached you. Right here. Right now. If this opened your eyes, you're about to discover why that matters more than you think. Let's recap what you just learned. First, humans possess instinctive survival knowledge that spans millions of years. We're not taught to be survivors. We're born that way. Second, adaptability beats raw power. The Zelkor had technology. Jake had creativity. Creativity won. Third, every human carries this potential. Not just special forces. Not just experts. You, me, everyone. Here's what I want you to do. First, hit that subscribe button. We're covering more stories of human potential. Real accounts. Verified incidents. Things that prove we're more capable than we believe. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Second, like this video, the algorithm needs to know this story matters. The more people who see it, the more people remember what they're capable of. That's powerful. That's important. Third, comment below with your answer to this question. If you woke up on an alien moon tomorrow with nothing but rocks, what's the first thing you'd do? Be specific. Think it through. Because that mental exercise activates the same survival instincts Jake used. It reminds your brain that you're a problem solver. But here's the deeper action I want you to take. Challenge yourself this week. Face one problem without using modern solutions. Not dangerous stuff. Simple things. Start a fire without matches. Navigate without GPS. Build something without buying materials. Use only what you find. You'll surprise yourself. Your brain will activate pathways you didn't know existed. You'll feel the same spark Jake felt. That moment when you realize you're not helpless. You're resourceful. Next video drops in 3 days. We're covering the 1987 incident. Another human. Another impossible survival scenario. Another victory that the powers above didn't want you to know about. This one involves the Amazon rainforest and a test that should have killed in hours. Click the notification bell so you don't miss it. I'm also building a community for people who want to develop real-world capabilities. Skills that matter when systems fail. Knowledge that lasts when technology doesn't. It's free to join. Link in the description. We share techniques, stories, and challenges every week. This isn't about paranoia. It's about potential. About remembering that humans aren't fragile. We're anti-fragile. We get stronger through challenges. We grow through adversity. We thrive when we're tested. The Zelkor learned that. They changed their entire empire because of it. They recognized that humans aren't just another species. We're the species that makes tools from thoughts, that turns obstacles into opportunities, that refuses to accept defeat. You have that power. Not theoretically. Actually, right now, today. In your hands. In your brain. In your DNA. Jake Morrison proved it on Moon 7. Now it's your turn to prove it here on Earth. I'll see you in the next one. Stay capable.